everybody, I've been asked by Fox to do a Q&A session, and what better place than to do it on the bank, and yeah, to answer any of the questions that you've got. I'm looking forward to it greatly, and most pleasing of all, at the end of it all, I get to choose my favourite question, or what I think's the best question, and there's £100 of Edged products up for the question that I choose, so let's rock and roll.
What's the tattoo on your arm? That is from Jimmy Pounceby.
It is a carp with teeth, believe it or not, and I never ever thought I would get a tattoo. I worked in environments where they weren't good things to have at times, and when I reached 50 I decided to have one, and there it is. It's a fish, and right underneath, shoot to thrill, my favourite record, and that's exactly what carp fishing does for me.
Daisy Wild, if you could choose one angler, past or present, to do 48-hour session with, who would it be?
There have been loads of tremendously exciting people that I've met over the years, that I've read about. It would have to be Richard Walker, simply because so much of what he has written all those years ago are so fundamental today. I mean, he's probably quite a serious guy, but I'm sure we'd have a few laughs along the way.
Next one's from Owen Ellis. Favourite hook for any situation?
For any situation, wow! I mean, that is it would have to be an either size 7 or 8 curve shanked hook, and well, I'm not supposed to go too overboard on my answers. Many years ago, I was asked to draw a hook by Fox. I had no idea how they were designed, how they were made, and what had to go into it, and I drew what was known then as the SSC and is now the curve shanked hook of Fox, and something I'm truly proud of. But that's the hook I'd take anywhere.
Right, next one's from Ian Chillcott. What was the scariest moment during your military service?
And it's very tempting. There are an awful lot of scary things, a lot of scary things that I wouldn't want to talk about too much in the public domain, but it may surprise you when I say it wasn't my first parachute descent, but it was my second, because you know exactly what's coming and you know how quickly you'll have to change your underpants.
So the next one's from Matt Richins. Do you think new technology is taking the skill out of fishing when it comes to watercraft?
Oh dear. I don't really know how to answer that, because the world has advanced in so many ways. Was fishing ever going to get left behind? No, it wasn't. I don't use any technology really, other than a bite alarm. I enjoy casting and doing all the things that I have to do, but then so many people will enjoy using the technologies that are available, and at the end of the day, there's a big word there, isn't there? Enjoy, and let's hope we're all going to do it.
Next one's from Paul Smith. If you could relight your fire of one particular moment in your carp fishing history, what moment would that be and why?
Oh dear, well, it's two absolute classic moments, and both of them involve a common carp, but they're both at either end of the scale of the size of these things. I spent 41 years from when I first read Richard Walker's book, Stillwater Angling, wanted to catch a common carp comparable to his record, and I would suggest that was one hell of a moment. But believe you me, when I caught a 15-pounder several months after I had the brain tumour operation, and I can feel myself welling up now when I think about it, it weighed about 15 pounds. We didn't weigh it. I never thought I'd ever carp fish again. I never thought, and nor did anybody else think, that I would survive it, but I did. And that little 15-pound common lit every fire that it's possible to light.
Next one's from Tim Berry. Other than fishing for carp, do you fish for any other species?
I don't, and I find that incredibly sad. I come from the West Country originally, just south of Bristol, and we didn't even know carp were invented in that area of the country. And I fished for everything, chub and barbel on the rivers, pike. I rallied around the whole of the West Country with a friend of mine called Dave Stratford, bless him, fishing for everything, and I don't do it anymore, and that's kind of sad. I've also travelled the world. I've caught marlin, sailfish, barracudas, wahoo, anything you like, but the amazing thing is it always tumbles back to good old carp fishing.
Richard Kinch has said, Chile, if you hadn't started carping way back when, where do you think you'd be today?
I think it's kind of strange when you tell people. I think I was born with angling in my blood when there's only one other person, the whole of my family that I know of, that ever really went fishing. It was part of my life. If it hadn't been for carp fishing, I would have fished for other species. I probably would have pursued my military career further, i.e. doing security work in Afghanistan, Iraq. There's a whole host of things I could have done, but I, thank the Lord, I'm a carp fisherman.
Next question's from Scott Brogan. He said, my question for Chile is, what one fish, dead or alive, would you like to catch and why?
Oh, dead or alive. I'm just trying to think. I mean, I've had some heartbreaking moments in my time, and I think that the fish that I probably enjoyed chasing around the most, although it wasn't the fish I went there to catch, Malins was that, a fish called Malins was that fish, but Mary, who lived in Wraysbury, 120 acres, 15 to 20 carp at best. She went on to be a British record when Terry Hearn caught her. And a remarkable animal that shaped the very essence of carp fishing, and that would have made me incredibly proud.
Next one's from Carl Chantrell. What's your views on bait boats and sonars?
I'm so tempted to say let's move on to the next question, but I like to give an answer. I won't use one. If people want to use a bait boat and sonars, then crack on, and I want to get what I want out of fishing, and that's the skill of angling to me, which is casting a baited hook with rod and line and feeling that lead down. It's a huge part of making that picture of what goes on the bottom of the lake, and I'd like to find a carp with my own eyes and cast with my own hand. But if that's what people want to do, bearing in mind the hideously limited time most people have got, then it's a good way of making the most of it. So whatever you want to do, best of luck to you.
One from Serge Noakes. Hi Chile, what item in your tackle box could you not do without?
Doesn't actually fit in my tackle box, but that would be my kettle and my tea kit. I don't think I could function without about 30 cups of tea a day. What couldn't I do without? I don't think there's one bit of gear that you could actually say that, because you can muddle your way around a few things. I think the most important bit of kit is your hook. Without that, you're simply not going to catch a carp. So although I never ever sharpen my hooks, I don't find a need to. I change them if I want to. My hook would be my most important bit of gear.
Next one's from Lee Turner. Did you ever sneak a rod in when you were away with the army? If so, did you catch?
I snuck lots and lots of rods away with the army. I used to wing around the world. We had practically our own Hercules that shifted us around, doing various things around the place, and there was inevitably a fishing rod in there, and of course we had a lot of contacts in the countries we were going to, and fishing rods were nearly always available to us. I remember once going, the first time I ever went to Belize, I went down on the Belize River and saw the tarpon entering the river from the Caribbean. I went into a shop, I think it was called Brody's. It was the only shop in Belize in the city centre, and I bought 2 solid glass rods, loaded them up with 20-pound line, bought some massive lures, and my first cast, I hooked one of those tarpon, and it ran up that river till all the line, all 300 yards of it, had disappeared off the spool. And yeah, that's the thrill. Sometimes it's fun not being totally prepared, and it makes the adventure that much more exciting. So yeah, rods have gone round the world with me.
One from Chopper Wilson. With what's happened with your health, did you ever think about giving up fishing, or did you see it as a reason to get better?
Yeah, coupled with spending the rest of my life with Lynn, it was a massive motivation. It was incredible, and it would be remiss of me not to say how much fishing, and the people more importantly that do it, helped in my recovery, and I'll never be able to thank them. But yeah, fishing's driven me even in other situations, but it's never driven me that hard to get back on the bank.
Rob Bolland, Chili, if you could change one thing within the angling industry, what would it be and why?
One thing in the angling industry. There have been things in my life that I wanted to change, and not so much change, but just do something about for the health of the fish that we fish for. I think inordinately heavy stocked venues are the only thing I can think of, simply because all the fish have got to rely on is anglers' baits, and I've never ever thought that is the way that fishing should be. It needs to be a challenge, it needs to be a mountain to climb, but in some of the scenarios nowadays it's harder not to catch one, and the only thing I feel sorry for at the end of the day is the fish that are being fished for. So yeah, maybe we'll lessen the stock levels a little bit, but don't hold your breath for that happening.
Darren Burners asked, when going through times that you lose your drive, what do you do to get yourself motivated to go fishing again?
That is a really interesting question, because yeah, I do. There have been the odd occasion where I don't want to go, but I know that it will still be, and always will be, a massive part of my life. So I drive myself on. Sometimes I go when I shouldn't, and sitting here right now would be a classic example. I'm still not well, and I'm a million miles from recovering completely from it all, and I shouldn't really have gone. But I just think if I don't, then my winter's over. I won't have driven myself into the coals of weather. So yeah, I do lose my momentum now and again, but I just drive myself on, and well, I'm still here fishing, and that's all that really matters.
Next one is from Zach J. Husky. He said, what's your favourite sandwich?
My favourite sandwich? Now there's a question. Yes, my favourite. It used to be anything with cheese in it, but my eating habits have changed so much because my brain has changed so radically. I'd say my favourite sandwich, I don't eat bread anymore either, but I do eat that bread with nothing in it. I used to think people who dyed their hair purple, smoked marijuana and lived in tree houses used to eat that kind of bread, but I do, because it doesn't upset my system. And my favourite sandwich, it would be a Marmite sandwich, and it would be made with Flora-Lite and half a tub of Marmite on each sandwich, and to me it doesn't get any better than that.
Daryl Jones, the big question is, will you ever shave that tash off?
Wow, that is a gutsy question. I admire you for asking it. No, I don't think I will. I just, me and this guy, we've been places, we've done stuff, and I've never wanted to look like Tom Selleck, I promise you that. But no, I love my tash, and he's staying right where he is.
Next one's from Jack Beard. Said, hi Chili, is there a certain thing or ritual you do on every session, whether it's an edge or a more psychological matter?
Right. I am the most motivated man by other things. I don't have to put my kettle around the right way. I don't have to put hook baits on, and I don't have to this, that and the other. But there are two things that, there's a word that I'm looking for. It's the only thing I do that is utter habit and will always happen is I dip my hook baits in a dip before I cast them out. Now, it's not there to attract the fish towards the hook bait. It's the last thing I want to do. I want it to be almost as natural as or appear to be as natural as the hook, as the free offerings. But no, I do that with my hook baits all the time, just to get rid of any nasty nifs that might be on my hand. And the only thing I take, which could be classed as a lucky charm, I don't know, is a little stone with strength written on it, and it's been in my wallet for the best part of 30 years. And yeah, I carry that around with me and always smile when I see it. But no, I've got no rituals as such, because life's always changing and those little things go out the window. I don't want to think that I'll sat there worrying about anything. I'm worrying enough about catching a carp anyway, so I don't want to give myself anything else to.
Alan Burgess, bacon roll, red or brown sauce?
Again, I don't eat sandwiches anymore. It's sad, isn't it? But I will tell you, in all the years when I did stuff bacon sandwiches, very, very regularly, I've never, ever put sauce on them, brown or red. The only sauce I ever used on that kind of breakfast thing was Worcestershire sauce on my eggs. But no, I've never used tomato sauce, never used brown sauce.
Next one's from Gareth Mann. Have you thought about going up to Scotland for some carp fishing?
Yeah, we are very, very fortunate at Fox to have Mark Pitchers as one of our consultants, and I don't even understand his accent. He comes so far up north of England, but he's got a little lake up there, and I've spoken to Mark on several occasions about going up there and catching a carp. It would be the furthest north I've ever caught one. And what it does when you think about it is you think about how far carp have travelled northwards, and yeah, it would be an absolute joy to come to Scotland and catch a carp, and yeah. Maybe I'll do it one day, hopefully.
Andrew Bunce, what's your favourite fishing memory with a Fox fishing group that's not been seen on camera?
I think there was a major change in Fox a few years ago when we got Sean McSpadden, Scott Day on board, a very young Lewis Porter and Harry Charrington, and we came down to a lake in Essex to test and to film all the new products that were coming out, and some of the crazy stuff we did that day. Throwing buckets of water over each other to prove things were waterproof, and waiting for them to have the hood down, waiting for them not to have the sleeping bag cover over the top of them, and generally draining them on a bed chair. And it's moments like that group people together and make them stronger. And to me, Fox is my substitute for my 22 years in the army. I've often referred to them as my second army, and whenever we get together we have fun, and it just reminds me of what a lucky man I am. Okay, probably the best part about this, I get to tell you my favourite question, and whoever asked that question gets to walk away with £100 worth of Edge's products. And I have given it a little bit of thought too, because there were some wonderful questions there, not just about how to catch a carp, but how carp fishing affects me and the role it's played in my life. I'd go back to the last question that I was asked by Andrew Bunce. Many congratulations to you, Andrew, but it was a brilliant question. My time with Fox, which has been 18 years now, has just revolved around loyalty, hard work and graft, and I've enjoyed every second of it, and I've enjoyed all the people that I've rubbed shoulders with, and yeah, it's something I'm very proud of and always will be.